Hey everyone, I'm Pantonio and I'm here to start my first video series in YouTube ever. It's called How to Gain Elo by Making the Right Decisions. The first episode is about Champion Select, with one point that is about choosing your roles pre-Champion Select. First of all, I want you to know that my way of gaining Elo is not always the same thing as having fun or everything being fair towards you, etc. The main goal is to gain Elo and everything besides that is secondary. Also, I want you guys to keep in mind that we only focus on what we can do to gain Elo. We don't focus on other players. There are 9 other players in the same game, but the thing is you can't change their skill or IQ level or something like that. Only thing you can do is affect their gaming performance by your actions. So we're gonna focus on what you can do. In this video, I'm not talking about masteries and runes, because I feel like those can easily be checked out for every specific champion from websites like ProBuilds. And last, everything I say in this video is my opinion and how I see this game. They're not facts like physics laws, just opinions from an experienced solo queue rat like myself. That said, pack your bags and jump on the Elo train, cause we're getting started. One point of view that is before Champion Select is the role choosing. To pick the right roles, think what are the roles where you individually can affect the game the most. Think about what roles do you win or potentially win most games with. Don't think about what lane you usually win if you still end up losing most of those games in that role. Even put aside what position you enjoy playing the most. As I said, main goal is to gain Elo, having fun is secondary. Usually people enjoy playing roles and champions they're good at though. If you don't feel like playing one of your main champions, just have a break from ranked and play normals. Or if you're not satisfied with your current champions, just go practice new champions on normals until they are at least at the same level as your current best champions. So let's move on to the Champion Select. Before going through any scenarios, let's talk about banning. Banning is actually a very important part of the game when there are unbalanced champions on the patch. If you're not familiar on what are OP champions at the current state, just ask your teammates. They'll tell you what to ban. For the next sentence, OTP is an one-trick pony who has mastered a champion almost perfectly but can't play many other champions. So if you just finished a game and an OTP carried the game, you want to ban that champion. If he's not in your team, it only uses one ban, and the best way to outplay an OTP is to ban their champion. The same goes for the times when you get into Champion Select and have a OTP in team, but someone dodges the last second. New game starts and he's not in your team. It's pretty easy to do the maths here and say he's probably in the enemy team. So make sure you ban his OTP champion. Always use the information you were given in the previous Champion Select before the dodge to your advantage. Ban out an annoying champ the enemy has picked on previous Champ Select. Or if you see someone picking Nunu in the enemy team and someone dodges, I'd wait 5 minutes before going into queue. Or you might be stuck with the Disco Nunu troll and have to dodge in the next Champion Select. Just keep your eyes open and use the information to your advantage. Now on to the different scenarios that await you in Champion Select. First scenario we go through is where everyone is acting normal, polite, and everyone gets the role they wanted. If you're an early pick like first, second, maybe third, and main champions that are easily countered, ask for a swap from your teammates. Usually a good swap partner is a jungler or a support, but don't get me wrong here, they might main champions that are easily countered as well, so just ask in general who would like to swap with me. And the other way around, if your last pick is support and your top laner is first pick, ask him if he wants to swap. I know some of you are thinking, it's not my job. Ain't nobody got time for that. You're right, it's not. But the thing is not about whose job it is. It's about how can we affect our teammates by our actions to gain Elo. If you rather watch your favorite streamer in Champ Select, then communicate with your team. I don't judge you. I do that sometimes too. I'm a streamer myself, I totally get it. But when you're not focusing on Champion Select, or you're only focusing when it's your turn to ban or pick, you're not giving it your everything, and a small losing thing might happen. I know you claim me crazy for that statement. Just listen to this example. You have an OTP in your team as first pick mid laner, and the OTP he plays is very easily countered. You're the last pick as support role. The mid laner is asking for a swap because he knows that he can be countered hard. Sadly, no one in the team responds because they're either not looking at the client at the moment or just don't care. Mid laner picks his OTP and gets countered. Game starts and he dies once in lane. If he's mentally weak, he might give up at this point and start feeding by the lack of motivation and cost the whole team the game. So is this your fault? No, it's not, and I'm not blaming you for it. But could have you prevented it from happening? Yes, you could have had. Take it like wearing a seatbelt. Do you put on a seatbelt because you're going to drive into another car? Or do you put it on to prevent something from happening, which will most probably not even happen because you did something wrong? So again, we try to think what can we do or how can we act to affect the performance of our teammates. So still, in the scenario where everything going well and everyone gets their roles and now it's your turn to pick, there are two things you have to think about and try to adjust them together. First, you should always analyze the enemy team and your own team and try to think what is it that you need to win this game. This goes for every role. For every role, it is slightly different, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. But for example, mid lane pick. Do we need wave clear? Do we need an AP mid laner or an AD mid laner? This always depends on your jungle and top picks. Try to not pick 3 APs, or definitely don't pick 3 ADs, because there's always your AD carry, unless you have a ziggs AP carry on bot lane, which is kind of meta at the moment. Well, do we need CC? Does our team have peel for me? Or do I have to take a mobile mid laner? Are the enemies full of hard engage and assassins, so do I definitely have to go for something safe? There were some of the mid lane questions you have to ask yourself after analyzing the situation between the two teams. As I said, going deep into it on every role will take time. So if you would like to hear on all roles and on a deeper level, write it on the comments or like someone's comment who already wrote it, so I know you guys are interested. Second, you should always think about the matchup you're marching into, and this concerns the enemy jungle too, as this decision affects pretty much only the laning phase. Make sure you pick something what you can handle your lane opponent with. You can use different sites that collect data on matchups and win rates, but I personally prefer you to use your own experience as the base knowledge, because everyone has their own playstyle on champions, especially in lower elo where the variety in working playstyles with the same champion is more possible. And this links into my biggest point on picking the right champion to win the game. Do not pick a champion only because it is considered as a counter to your lane opponent. Only play champions in ranked that you have mastered in all phases of the game, meaning early, mid, and late, meaning you know what to do and what is your role in every phase of the game. It doesn't matter if you win your lane if you got no idea how to use the advantage to help your team win the game, or if you have no clue how to team fight with the champion. Especially in lower elo games, people don't end games when they can, and taking objectives is really sloppy. So the matches extend, and that gives everyone the chance to get a few items up their sleeve. So the Anivia OTP you wrecked on lane might be destroying your whole team, including you, after she gets some of her core items because you're still trying to assassinate their Maokai. Okay, that was a brutal example again, but you get me. We all been in games where we are ahead but haven't ended the game, and at 15 minutes the enemy Twitch or Jinx just cleans everyone with a few auto attacks. So make sure you know how to play the champion in every phase of the game, so your enemies on the same position don't overperform you after laning phase. So after you analyze the team needs and your lane opponents, it's time to adjust these two into the best possible pick. That is something you can only do. You know your capabilities with different champions. Only help I can give you is a hint to try to see the whole picture. You don't pick Kog'Maw of mid when enemy is full of assassins and you have no one to peel you in your team fight. But in the other hand, if your Kog'Maw is 4 times better than your Ahri and you have 65% win rate on Kog'Maw while you only got 30% win rate on Ahri, I would be going for the Kog'Maw pick because you most probably will be more useful on it. Remember, you don't receive elo for winning your lane. You receive elo for winning the game. In this example, we just took 2 champions, but I hope you understand what I mean. So, shortly, first, communicate with your team. Second, don't AFK in champion select. 3. Analyze your team needs on the enemy team's comp. 4. Analyze your matchup considering the jungle too. And 5, but definitely not least, compare and adjust the previous to make the right pick to win the game. Let's get into the scenarios where everything's not going so perfect. This next scenario is when someone wants your role. Let's say you're mid and the support wants mid. This is when you use those websites that gather data on players like OPGG, and now what you're looking for is information on 4 facts: your skills and win rate on support and mid row versus the other guy's win rate on support and mid row. Win rate is the best way to track someone's performance on a champion concerning all phases in the game. The only thing is that the person must have a nice amount of games played so that the win rate can be judged. In my opinion, everyone with more than 40 games on a good win rate should be trustworthy on their champion. Why I don't like watching KDA for performance is because if someone has like 10 kills, 2 deaths, 15 assists as a KDA with only 45% wins and over 100 matches, I can assure you the guy either has no clue what to do in some phases of the game on the champion or simply doesn't play for the win but for his KDA. So always keep your eyes on the win rates. You don't care if they finish with a bad KDA if they still do a game-winning play, right? Back to the example where your support wants your mid lane role. You search and find that you have 63% win rate with your main mid and 60% win rate on your main support. The other guy has 59% win rate on his main mid and 35% win rate with his best support. As both players have a fair amount of games on all the champs included, the win rates are reliable. In this example, I think your decision is fairly easy to make and you give the other guy the mid lane. The statistics of 2 players might be pretty hard to compare sometimes, and making the right decision can get hard. You just have to try to see the whole picture and not just what's the best solution for you or your lane. If someone whose role you don't simply play at all wants to swap, just don't do it. Even if you survive the laning phase, the fact that you don't know how to play the role or the champion will most probably end up losing you the game when lane phase ends. Extreme exceptions on this are Challenger Master Smurfs who have like 80% win rate and can literally 1 versus 5 the game in low elo. Next scenario we have is when you get out of field. ASAP let your team know that you are out of field. Try to ask for main roles. Remember that arguments are the real deal. Imagine someone selling you a car without an argument. Buy this car. Is someone gonna buy that car? Hell no. How about buy this car? It has 800 horsepower with a Y12 motor and it can go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 2.5 seconds. Starts to sound interesting on a whole new level, I guess. Basically, getting your role is not that different from selling something. You need to sell the idea of giving you the role to your teammate. You will have to think about the arguments by yourself, but try to convince them on these 2 facts. First, that giving you the role you want will most likely end up as a 1 game, and making you play the out of field role is most probably gonna end up as a lost game. Here's an example. I got out of field to AD carry. I'm an OTP Anivia. I got 3 games as AD carry this season. I'm really bad at it. So if we want to win the game, please don't make me AD carry. Remember that people hate when you throw demands at them. You might know when someone tells you to do something and you get the feeling you're getting bossed around, that's when you're definitely not going to do it. So when you ask for someone to swap roles with you, try to keep it as a suggestion or a request and fill in your arguments to convince the teammate. If you're not the kind of person who lives with the flow of feelings, it might be hard to understand what I was just talking about, but people truly make decisions based on the vibes they get from you or how they feel at the moment in general. So nice vibes with a good argument will sell any idea. So we handled the scenarios and now we are going to talk about strategies in Champion Select, and as funny as it sounds, but some of these strategies apply to your own team and not the enemy team. So again, we're going to talk about how you can affect the game and your teammates' actions by your own actions. First, we will talk about hovering a champion. It is a part of communication. If you're going for a meta pick or a considered good champion at the moment for your role, hover it so your team can see the champion, so it might affect your teammates' picks. Now, why only hover it when it is a meta pick or a considered good pick on the row? Because there are lots of different people out there playing this game. Hovering your Teemo top or Heimer top might result in a Teemo or Heimer ban by your own teammate, and if you happen to be mentally weak or having a bad day, you will just troll their ass off. So just hovering Teemo basically lost the game. And if someone threatens to troll after you pick Teemo or whatever, you can say that you main it and win most games with it. Don't say anything else. If they keep those troll summoners until 2 seconds before the game is starting, just dodge the game. And here we get to the next subject, what is dodging games. Dodging a game is for some reason way harder than it should be for most people. Usually if someone says they will troll or feed, it is a good idea to just directly dodge the game at last seconds. You lose -3 LP for the first dodge and get a 6-minute penalty from ranked queue. From the games you dodge after that, inside a 16-hour window, you will lose -10 LP and get a 30-minute penalty from ranked queue for each one. So basically, if you dodge 3 games a day, you will lose 23 LP, which is the same what you lose for 1 game when you're stuck in the 5th division on 0 LP in any liege level. So losing 23 LP from 3 games instead of very potentially losing 3 times that. Not bad. No one thinks dodging is fun or waiting 30 minutes is fun, but that's what I said before, and I will repeat. Gaining elo most efficiently is not always fun. So learn to dodge games and you will end up gaining elo for sure. How dodging affects your hidden elo is a cool thing, but controlling your hidden elo is something I would like to talk about more deeply. If you're interested in hearing about it, write a comment below or like someone's comment that supports your opinion. As I talk a lot about having someone in your team who has attitude problems, I hope you realize what I'm asking of you is to not be like that. To gain elo, you have to try to avoid conflicts with your teammates. You gotta be the mentally strong one. You're not allowed to be a jerk or moan about their picks, talk shit about them if they played bad in the previous match in your team. All of these things provoke the inner troll in us. Just be generally nice, and you can add a little of humor in the chat to make people more relaxed who might be a little tense. And by humor, I don't mean the kind of humor where you write something with caps on into the chat repeatedly. That is far from relaxing. The last thing we're going to discuss on this video is one of the most important ones when the goal is to win games. It is controlling yourself when someone is being mean to you. So, if someone is mean to you and you know they just want to be an asshole or try to make you feel bad and sad or mad, the rule is simple. You never answer to them, not once. If you answer to them once, they just know that they can get to you. That's exactly what they want. And if you make the mistake of answering once, you have just one option to get them to stop. When in game, just write something like this. Sorry, but no one benefits out of this discussion. I'm muting you. Good luck, have fun, let's win. At this point, it's up to you, will you mute them or not. Eventually, they will stop crying because there's no one answering to them. So just always on any rude gestures that are targeted on you, be quiet and don't say a word. Again, some of you might be like, I don't need to listen to this shit, I'm gonna let them have it. No, if your true goal is to gain elo, you have to be mentally stronger than them. Be able to put aside your ego. How hard can it be to listen to some small cunt yapping his head off because his mom ain't giving him any attention? It's not fun and it's not enjoyable, but let them talk and take the free LP and just walk away. Okay, so this video was supposed to be only about Champion Select, but sadly this last subject dragged it into the game itself. The rule of being quiet when someone is a little bitch works the same way on the Champion Select and on the Rift, so it had to be explained how to deal with it. Next episode on the how to gain elo by making the right decisions is gonna be about early game and laning phase. Thank you all of you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my first YouTube video ever. If you want to see the rest of the series, make sure to subscribe, and a thumbs up always helps. P.S. All comments and questions are appreciated. Doesn't matter if it's negative or positive, I get a lot of feedback out of them. See ya until next time, fellow summoners.